What if I told you the color of flying saucers is not a design choice, but a warning? Because witnesses across decades, across continents, across quiet farms and crowded cities, keep reporting the same chilling detail before everything goes wrong: a blinding silver disk hanging silently in the sky like a mirror reflecting the end of the world. And the question that keeps scientists, soldiers, and ordinary people awake at night is simple yet terrifying. Why are flying saucers always silver? Why not black? Why not red? Why not invisible? Why always that cold metallic shine that glows even in the darkness? Because silver is not just a color. Silver is a signal, a technology, and possibly a shield against forces we barely understand. And the deeper you dig into the history of UFO sightings, the stranger it gets. Because the very first modern encounter in 1947 described a craft that looked like polished metal reflecting sunlight so intensely that the witness had to shield his eyes, and since then thousands of people have repeated the same description: smooth, metallic, silver, seamless, as if every object came from the same factory somewhere beyond our world. And scientists who studied advanced materials noticed something unsettling. Silver surfaces reflect heat, radiation, and energy better than almost any other color, which means if a craft traveled through space at extreme speeds, facing cosmic radiation and friction, a reflective metallic shell would protect it like armor. But that explanation only scratches the surface, because military engineers discovered decades ago that certain metallic coatings can bend radar waves, scatter signals, and make objects harder to detect, turning a solid machine into a ghost on the radar screen. And suddenly the silver color starts to look less like decoration and more like camouflage, a technological invisibility cloak hiding something that does not want to be seen. Yet despite all our satellites and telescopes, these objects still appear unexpectedly, hovering silently above forests, oceans, and deserts, glowing with that eerie silver shine that witnesses describe as almost alive, like the surface is breathing or pulsing with energy. And some researchers believe the color is linked to temperature control, because silver reflects sunlight and prevents overheating, which is exactly why astronauts wear reflective suits and why spacecraft are wrapped in metallic foil. But here is where the story turns darker, because in several classified reports, pilots who chased unidentified craft noticed that the silver surface sometimes changed shade, shifting from bright chrome to dull gray to nearly black within seconds, as if the material itself could adapt, react, or camouflage in real time. Something no known human technology could fully achieve when those reports were written. And if that is true, then the color silver may not be paint at all. It may be a living surface, a smart material, responding to the environment, absorbing energy, reflecting danger, and hiding its true nature from human eyes. And that possibility becomes even more disturbing when you listen to witnesses who claim the silver discs emitted no sound, no engine roar, no heat trail, only silence, a silence so deep it felt unnatural, like the world itself paused when the object appeared overhead. And imagine standing alone at night, hearing nothing but wind, then looking up and seeing a perfectly smooth silver circle floating above you, reflecting moonlight like a giant coin dropped from the sky, and realizing it is not falling, not moving, just watching, because many witnesses reported the same terrifying sensation. The feeling of being observed, studied, measured, as if the craft was scanning them, and the silver surface acted like a mirror hiding whatever was inside. and some conspiracy researchers believe the color was chosen specifically because it reflects faces, turning observers into reflections, making it impossible to see beyond the surface, like staring into a blank eye that reveals nothing. And this idea becomes even stranger when you consider ancient stories from centuries before airplanes existed, because in medieval Europe and parts of Asia, people described shining discs in the sky that looked like polished shields or burning mirrors, objects that glowed with metallic light and moved silently across the heavens. And although they did not use the word silver, their descriptions match the same reflective shine reported today, suggesting that whatever these objects are, they may have been visiting Earth far longer than modern history records. And if that is true, then the silver color might be a constant signature, a calling card left behind by visitors who never changed their design, because it worked perfectly from the beginning. And there is another theory even more unsettling, one whispered among engineers and physicists who studied experimental propulsion systems. Because some advanced concepts for faster-than-light travel involve manipulating gravity or electromagnetic fields, and those systems require highly conductive materials to distribute energy evenly across the hull, preventing catastrophic failure. And guess what metal conducts electricity and heat extremely well while resisting corrosion? Silver, one of the most efficient conductors known to science, which means the color we see might not be chosen for appearance at all. It might be the natural color of the material required to power the craft, a material so advanced that painting over it would weaken the system. And suddenly the mystery becomes less about aesthetics and more about survival, because if the craft relies on raw metallic surfaces to function, then the silver shine is not optional, it is essential. And that realization leads to an even darker question: if these objects are built from materials beyond our technology, who built them? Where did they come from? And witnesses who reported close encounters often described the silver surface as perfectly smooth, without rivets, seams, or visible joints, as if the entire craft was molded from a single piece of metal, something impossible with traditional manufacturing methods, but strangely similar to modern experiments with 3D printing and liquid metal casting, technologies that allow complex structures to form without visible assembly. And if humans only recently developed such methods, then seeing them decades earlier in UFO reports suggests someone else mastered them long before us. And the color silver becomes a silent clue pointing toward a level of engineering far beyond our current capabilities. Yet the mystery deepens when you consider how light behaves on these objects, because in many sightings, the silver surface did not simply reflect light. It seemed to glow from within, emitting a soft radiance even in total darkness, as if the metal itself stored energy and released it slowly, creating a halo around the craft. And scientists studying plasma physics noticed that ionized gases around high-energy fields can produce exactly that effect, a shimmering glow surrounding metallic surfaces, which means the silver color might not be static at all. It could be interacting with invisible forces generated by the craft's propulsion system, turning the entire vehicle into a luminous beacon in the night sky. And that idea becomes even more chilling when you remember that several witnesses reported temporary blindness after looking directly at the object, as if the reflected light carried unusual intensity or radiation. And some doctors who examined those witnesses found symptoms consistent with exposure to strong electromagnetic fields, headaches, nausea, memory gaps, and confusion, which raises the possibility that the silver surface is not just protective, it might be actively emitting energy capable of affecting the human body. And if that is true, then every time someone sees a silver disk overhead, they may be standing dangerously close to technology powerful enough to alter their senses. And yet, despite decades of sightings, no government has publicly confirmed the origin of these objects, leaving millions of people to wonder whether the truth is being hidden, misunderstood, or simply too frightening to reveal. Because imagine the global panic if authorities announced that unknown craft have been entering our atmosphere for years, observing our cities, mapping our terrain, and leaving without explanation, always shining with that same cold metallic glow, always silent, always watching. And perhaps the most unsettling detail is that the color silver is often associated with reflection and concealment, a surface that shows you only what it wants you to see, hiding everything beneath. And in psychological studies, reflective surfaces can create a sense of unease because they distort perception, making objects appear closer or farther than they really are, which means the silver disks might be using that effect intentionally, confusing observers, masking their true size, speed, or distance, turning every sighting into a puzzle impossible to solve. And as technology advances, humans have started experimenting with similar ideas, creating stealth aircraft coated with radar-absorbing materials and reflective finishes to reduce visibility, proving that the concept is not science fiction but real engineering. And if we are only beginning to master these techniques, then whoever designed the original silver saucers may be decades, centuries, or even millennia ahead of us. And that possibility leads to a final haunting thought. What if the color silver is not just a technological necessity but a universal standard among advanced civilizations, a signal recognized across the cosmos, a symbol of exploration, surveillance, or even ownership, like a flag planted silently in the sky, reminding us that we are not alone. And every time a witness looks up and sees that glimmering metallic disc hovering against the darkness, they are not just seeing a mysterious object, they are seeing a message written in light and metal, a message that says someone is out there, watching, waiting, and perhaps preparing for the day when the silver ships no longer hide in the clouds but descend openly into our world. And when that moment comes, the question will no longer be why they are silver, but why they stayed hidden for so long.